Hi, I'm Mike McCormick, live at GBTA Studios here in Toronto, and I'm here with Will Tate, partner in GoldSpring Consulting. As always, welcome, Will.
Thank you for having me.
So you're doing an education session later this morning on machine learning predictive analytics. So tell me about all that and what's going on. What's the elevator pitch about the session coming up?
It's an absolutely terrific session because this is where we're all trying to strive to get to is machine learning and predictive analytics, and then a step further, prescriptive analytics. So predictive kind of tells us what might happen, but prescriptive tells us what we need to do about it.
Right.
So the example we use is we use this every day. We walk outside, you see that it's overcast and cloudy, and so you say, okay, hang on a second, I need an umbrella. Well, that's great, that's predictive. But prescriptive says, I maybe don't wash the car today.
Right.
So you take it to that level. But the machine learning, the idea of being able to take all of this data and parse it in a way that you can produce the right information in the right way at the right time is the one that makes it so valuable. And this kind of learning helps us differentiate between maybe a CEO trip and maybe a romantic getaway. Right? They might be going to the same destinations and interested in the same carriers or the same hotels, but it's a much different type of experience.
Right. And so, backing all of this is the incredible amount of data that's captured, stored, virtually on everything everybody does, how they do it, where they do it, et cetera, et cetera. So any thoughts about, basically advice particularly for our buyer audience, for everybody here, what they should be doing about it, paying attention to when it comes to data?
Yeah, the first thing is get all the data streams you can in, because expense data tells you a consumption story, travel data tells you a booking or a trend kind of story, card data tells you a different story, and then HR data and all kinds of internal company hierarchy data tell you a much different story. And then lastly, the profile itself tells you a different story. So, and profiles are static, not dynamic, so that's a problem. But first thing to do is to make sure you get as many of those data streams together, and then the second thing is to look at the trends that it tells you. So for example, one of the more interesting predictive analytics is this when to buy fair. So buyers are saying, it's always been advanced purchase was the best way. But that's not how carriers run their business these days. Sometimes 3 days is the best. Predictive analytics helps us make better decisions about that.
And so, any just generally words of advice? You've got travel buyers here who have complex programs. They have a lot of needs, and then even if they're sold, then they still have to sell their whole internal infrastructure on the need for everything that we're just talking about. Words of advice on how to approach it from their perspective.
Yeah, a little caution because of privacy. So if we're going to be accessing personal information, and there's some GDPR regulations that are required. So a little caution in that. Second thing is just push your suppliers as best possible to get all of those data streams into some kind of platform. With ERP systems doing more and more work, and then some of the third parties that do work in the travel space, you have the opportunity to start parsing that stuff and see the differences between those data streams, and hopefully make better decisions about leveraging purchasing power against supplier relationships, against loyalty programs. And that's kind of the big finishes. Buyers are going to want to connect loyalty programs into their procurement strategies to find a good balance of supporting preferred suppliers, but creating a better travel experience. You can do that data when you understand what the loyalty status offers and what the company policy allows. And again, those things always in the past were kind of almost really independent, fragmented parts of the decision process. Now there really is an ability to bring it all together in a productive way. There is.
So switching gears for a minute, again, on behalf of GBTA, we certainly appreciate GoldSpring's support of the whole RFP process, hotel RFP process we're going through now, and really taking an updated look at our standard and making sure that it really fits the need of the industry. Thoughts about that project and how it's going?
Sure, absolutely. It's a remarkable project because of the complexity and all the stakeholders. You have GDSs from preferred properties, from buyers to sellers to travelers that are trying to make good decisions about those procurements. So it's a fabulous thing to be taking a look at, and GBTA is always commended for leading the way in those kind of initiatives.
Well, thanks, and thanks again for your support.
Pleasure.
And with me again, Will Tate from GoldSpring Consulting, and I'm Mike McCormick, live from GBTA here in Toronto.